Byblis, the new kid on the block. Perfumer Byblis. Now, a limited hero. Let's talk a little bit about how useful she is for RTA against Guild War. Again, being a player who's mostly focused on Guild War, my insight will be a little bit biased. Now, before that, let's just look at Byblis kit, and we can see her stat line. So she has fairly low HP, base HP, and high defense, low speed, and some effectiveness. We'll look back at the effectiveness in a moment when you look some of her kit. By far the most important skill she has is her S2, the passive. And basically every time an opponent hero gets a turn, all allies get 5% extra HP from their base HP, right? Base HP after the start of battle, so including all equipment, but not artifacts. And they also get 8% damage reflect, assuming they live. So if they die, the damage reflect does not happen. And this stacks up to 5 as long as the unit itself does not take a turn. So at maximum, it's going to be 25% health increase and a 40% damage reflect. The other part of her effect is if any ally drops below 50% HP, she will dispel 2 debuffs from all allies. So only one ally drops below 50, she dispels 2 debuffs from all allies, including herself, and recovers health and granting a barrier. I don't remember how much this is. I think it was like 35% or something, or maybe 20. I'm not sure. So it's not a full heal plus barrier, but it basically, in combination with the lingering fragrance, it basically is a full heal. And then S3, first of all, grants her increased effectiveness, 50%. So if we go back, we have 18 plus 50, that's 68 effectiveness for free, right? And what she does is, oh, not wrong one. Yeah. So she has 68 effectiveness for free, assuming she's not buff blocked or there's notice on the field. And she would, by the way, this will be 100% after the skill enhanced to max, I believe, 10, 20, 30, yes, 100%. So she gives redirect provoke on all enemies for 1 turn, which is they target the enemy hero that has the highest max HP, right? And this could change potentially for your team depending on how lingering fragrance stacks. So usually you can guarantee which unit gets the hit, but in this case it might change depending on turn order. Maybe if you have heroes that have very close HPs, lingering fragrance may change who gets the hit by redirected provoke. So a little bit of RNG there. And then puts 2 venom effects for 2 turns. And all of these can miss, right? And then immediately detonates the venom effects. Now, I don't know why they do this. It's kind of interesting. Debuff that immediately detonates. I guess it's just to not create new effects, but in any case, you have good chances to landing at least 1 venom effect on an enemy, unless they have a lot of effect resist. Now, if you're not aware, there is such a thing as absolute effect resistance, and that means that all heroes have a minimum of 15% chance to resist any effect, regardless of how much effectiveness or effect resist heroes have. Right, so I'm not going to get into maths here, but this is 3 different effects. You have good chances to land at least 1, decent chances to land at least 2, and when you target 4 heroes, you will land something most of the time. I mean, it is possible to land nothing, but I'm saying if there's no effectiveness, no effect resist, you generally have good chances of landing stuff. Important to note that this does not dispel buffs, so immunity buff will completely block this effect. But it might not be too relevant because this is kind of a reverse tempo unit, where you take turn 2, you stay alive, and then you put barrier, heal up, and then you take a turn. So usually enemy teams will run out of immunity by the time she presses S3. It's an interesting unit. The kit is very interesting. Unfortunately, she's either very oppressive or useless. Going back to effectiveness, so she has 68 effectiveness. That means that in terms of effect resist, to get the best chance to resist her debuffs, you basically need 168 effect resist, right? So it is quite a stat requirement, right? So she will generally lend debuffs. Not many people will build units to have that much effect resist. Alright, so going a little bit of RTA against Guild War, and then we will look at her actually performance. She's a very strong unit in RTA right now. Extremely oppressive. She forces the draft to go in a certain way. She's a very strong early pick. Of course, most useful with high HP heroes, but still okay for like bruisers, teams that don't have too much HP, still damage, but have some HP in their kit. Now, it is much stronger in RTA because the most impactful effect of this in terms of damage is the reflect against AoE. And when you have 4 heroes stacking Lingering Fragrance AoE, so I mean that wouldn't really happen most of the times, but imagine your team gets 5 stacks of each hero, 8%, that's 40% times 4, that's 160% reflect damage, right? That's impossible. If you have a damage unit, that unit will die unless they kill the enemy team. And in Guild War, it's only 3 heroes, so it's not as impactful. And on defense, when you see Byblis, you can usually deal with her. You can find ways to deal with her. But in RTA, she forces draft in a certain way, which is why it makes her so strong. And in Guild War, on offense, I mean, you can find some teams you can use with her, but yeah, I don't think she's worth it really for Guild War. Very interesting RTA, very oppressive unit for that. Alright, we still haven't looked at her S1, which is this, and basically a cheap soul burn to trigger dual attack from the ally with the highest attack. A very useful soul burn, useful effect to decrease defense for 1 turn. It's good. It's not amazing. It's good. You know what can you expect? You can't have all skills to be amazing. It's quite useful. Interestingly, I think this unit could be fun for some PvE, just because a guaranteed dual attack with decreased defense can be useful. But in general, Venoms do nothing in PvE, so it's kind of weird. You would only use her for S1 most of the time, as Venoms do only work for heroes. If you're not aware, they do 10% of max health damage and turns it into injury. So if all effects land, that's 2 Venoms for 2 turns. Each Venom effect is 10 for 2 turns is 20. So 2 effects is 40% max health in injury immediately if everything lands. So that's quite oppressive. Right, let's look at yeah, her artifact is good. It's like if you know Warhorn, it does the same thing, except it's exclusive to Soul Weavers for the combat readiness, and instead of giving an attack buff to your team, it dispels 1 debuff, which can be extremely strong. And a unit like her, who is sort of a reverse tempo unit, where they let the enemy take their turns and then barrier, heal up, cleanse, and then go after if they had immunity, they lose it unless they can put it back up somehow. She can then on turn 2 apply those debuffs after the immunity is gone, and she can have the reverse tempo there. Let's see if we can have some gameplay then. So let's see how much reflect she does on her lingering fragrance. So you see there, Nurse Yuho took turn 1, so everyone got a stack of lingering fragrance, increasing their HP by 5%, and they are reflect by 8%. And then Jiras goes, this is auto battle, so it's like, you know, it's not a realistic scenario. I don't think any player would generally S2 with Jiras into Moon Bunny Dominion, so it's kind of weird. This is not an RTA game. Nobody would do that that knows how units work and is paying attention. In Guild War, on defense, this is what would happen. If this was a Guild War defense with only 3 units, then automatically Jiras would do this, right? So this is a very bad example, honestly. But regardless, we see, because it drops to below half HP, she will trigger. And so it heals 10,061. We can deduce how much healing it does. I think it does the same in damage and barrier, so I think this is a 10,061 barrier as well. And you see Jiras took 2 turns for S2, so we stack Lingering Fragrance a bit more. I guess we can't calculate it because of the Lingering Fragrance stacking. And this is the 3rd turn of Jiras, and now there are 3 stacks on everyone, so this will be 3 times 8, 24 times 4. That is, what is that? Math. Is it 106, I believe? No, 104. 104% damage reflect, right, on Jiras. Now, he doesn't care too much as he's superhuman. There's also Moon Bunny damage skill nullifier, which will nullify all damage, but because how the game works, the damage is still calculated, it just doesn't happen, if that makes sense. Otherwise, Jiras should not get any reflect damage. But because the damage still is calculated, but just ignored, damage gets reflect, right? So this is the damage Jiras would do to everyone, basically, because it's 104 reflect, right? Is that correct? 8 times 3, 24, 24 times 4, 80, 104%, right? So this is the damage Jiras dealt. Is that right? That doesn't seem right, honestly. So, oh no, it would be less here because she takes 50% damage reduction because of her skill. So it's not quite exact, right? This is only halved. So if we divide it by 4, we're saying that each hero took like 5,000 damage. That doesn't sound right. It's probably more. So maybe the math is a bit dodgy. This looks a bit low, honestly. Jiras should do a lot more damage, unless it's a poor build with no crit damage. We don't know the stats. We see Veritas triggered there, so she pushed up. Again, we won't be able to actually see... She did 10,061 healing, right? Let's see Byblis. So she already has 3 stacks. She had 2 stacks when she did the healing. So let's say she was 34,000, 10,000. It's about 1/3. So it's about 35%, right? About 35% of her own health. She heals all units, and of her own health, she puts a barrier of the same amount. So 70% back heal. So if they drop below 50, they will heal up not to 100%, but the barrier will push them over 100% if they were only slightly below 50%. Let's see the S3 that actually is cheating because, yeah, Death Dealer Ray also puts his own Venoms, so it's not a good showcase here. She will... So she lands everything. Amazing. But there's also Death Dealer Ray debuff. So this should give them full injury to 50%. And there we go. Full injury. Half their HP. Because of Death Dealer Ray. Otherwise it'd only be 40%. So she's a good combo here. She detonates with them, right? It's kind of fun. Although Sleep and Redirected Provoke doesn't combo. In case of Charlotte, she will get rid of the Sleep and guarantee crit on Setsuka because she's sleeping. Right, so in RTA, very strong unit. Very interesting tempo reversal, very strong early pick. For Guild War, unfortunately, you can use her if you force her on offense, on defense. I haven't seen her do a lot. It's just her strength is forcing draft in a certain direction, right? So when you see her early, you have to think about her kit, or you have to decide to ban her early, and then in the later picks, the enemy can just counter draft you and you lose. So when she's picked early, you're kind of forced to think how to deal with her because you're probably not allowed to ban her. Like last picks generally can deal with your draft fairly easily if you decide to ban her outright early on. So very strong hero for RTA, very much worth the pickup. Limited unit, you know, this is a game of limited units where they should be picked. Well, hope you enjoyed this. Have a good one.